Hi, welcome to Guitar Time. I'm Robert Knoll. We're learning bar chords. So if you're a very beginner, you've probably learned some open chords. And if you're an intermediate player, maybe you've already learned bar chords. But let me go over them a little bit more. We'll go in a little more detail. So you may have learned or looked at my other video on the F chord about the bar chord. And if you haven't, you should look at that video. But it's just like that open E chord. If we have an open E chord and we change the fingers, the fingering of the E chord to 3, 4, 2, we see that just moving those fingers up and adding a bar, we get the F bar chord. I'm going to move up to the key of A. Bar chords are movable. We can move them anywhere, B, C, D, E, wherever you move. We're saying that a type 1 bar chord has its root on the 6th string. So this A note is denoting that this is an A. We call it a type 1 bar chord because the root note is on the 6th string. A type 2 bar chord would be with the root on the A string. So this A bar chord, let's look at this chord, the formation. We have, you should always see notes. So I see an A note, I see my 3rd finger playing an E, which is a perfect 5th, another root with the 4th finger, and that's right up next to the fret. Finger placement's really important here. And my 2nd finger is placed next to the fret, that's a C sharp, and that's a major 3rd. Very important, we know that. The next note, barred with my 1st finger, is the perfect 5th and a root on the top. So that B string is an E and an A on the top. So we've got note-wise, we've got A, E, A, C sharp, E, A. Interval-wise, we have 1, 5, 1, major 3rd, perfect 5th, root. Now I'm getting good sound on this chord because I'm pressing. I've developed strength, and this is something, if you're a beginner, bar chords don't come right away usually, okay? One thing is you need to have your guitar make sure that the action, the string height is correct, that your guitar is set up to play correctly. If it's not and you have a bent neck or the strings are too high, bar chords will be extremely difficult and wouldn't sound right anyways. So we got to make sure that that's right. But when you learn this basic form, it's really important to move it around and feel good about moving it. It's a movable bar chord. That's why bar chords are cool. So once again, if I play this bar chord and I take off my 2nd finger, this is a major chord. Taking off the 2nd finger gives me the A minor. So I'm going from a major 3rd with the 2nd finger to a minor 3rd. And you should see that. Okay, if I was to take off my 4th finger, I would get the dominant 7. That's this note here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I took off the 4th finger and my bar is playing the 4th string. So I get what's called an A7 chord. If you know your scales, like a dominant 7 scale, and went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we could have an added 7. I call that an A added 7. So we've got this extra 7 on the top. So this chord is thick with 2 7s in it, one here and one here. So that's kind of a cool thing. If I take that 4th finger and I bring it in, I get what would be called an A7-6, maybe an A6, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 6th degree. If I count it from the lowest root, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I get the 13. We call that a 13. So we got 7, 13, and then if I put my baby finger up on the E string, 7th fret, that adds a 9. Now we know that the interval is a 2, major 2nd, but if we count from the, say, the middle root here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We like to call that a 9 instead of a major 2, okay? We can bring that 2 up, have an extra major, a minor third on the top, or we could call that a raised 9, and we could bar the third, fourth finger and get a 7/9. We bring the bar into the 7th fret from the 8th to the 7, and we get a 6/9. If I was to put my finger on the G string next to my second finger, this would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, the perfect fourth. I get the suspended chord, A, S, U, S. You hear Tommy and the Who, you hear so many rock songs. A lot of bands love, well, a lot of musicians in all styles, we like suspended chords because they resolve to the major third. 4, A suspended to the A7 chord. So you want to be mindful of your finger placement. So these are all type 1 chords. They're movable anywhere. When you get up to the 10th fret, 12, 13, things start to get tight. They get cramped. So some chords you might not be able to play, maybe past the, 13th or 14th fret. You can try them. Sometimes we can squeeze them out. If your guitar is very playable, action is good. But sometimes we'll have just a certain range that we can make that bar chord happen. You always want to make sure that you've got the 6 strings, that you're getting all the notes in. You have to have equal pressure across that index finger. And you gotta be powerful. You have to build the strength in your finger, okay? These muscles in your fingers and your wrist. Okay, so back to that A bar chord. So if I take off the second finger, we get A minor. Wow, is that beautiful? Just that one finger. All right, wow. Changes the whole world, just major to minor. So the major third turns into a minor third from the minor scale. It gives us minor. So likewise, I could take my fourth finger off, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The minor scale, I have a 7, a dominant 7. So with just the bar and the third finger on the perfect fifth, I have an A minor 7. I can also do like I did with the major chord and add my baby finger up on the 7 on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm playing a minor scale now, minor chord, and I've got the added 7, 2 7s in this chord. We always want to be able to look at chords and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a 5. I've got a 7, right? I've got 1, 2, 3, the minor third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe a 7 and a root. So knowing your intervals and being able to play your scale helps you to analyze chords, which is so important. Okay? So 7, I could take that fourth finger in and get to a major 6, and I get this really funky chord. That's so funky. 7, 6, and here's minor 6. Kind of a little gloomy. You can see I'm taking it in and out. So that's minor 6, major 6, dominant 7, and I could add the minor 9, baby finger. I could add the extra minor third. It makes it a very filled with, you've got 2 minor thirds in this chord. It's a great chord. I could bar it with the 7. And then we've also got the suspended chord. So the suspended chord, well, it would resolve to the major third, but here I'm going to go perfect fourth the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the minor scale, and take it off, and it resolves to the minor third as well. Suspended chords are very interesting chords, okay? So these were your type 1 bar chords, all right? I want to do the next video on your type 2. So when you look at these chords, you've got to see your intervals. You've got to be able to move them, you know. F should sound just as well as the 5th fret A or the 10th fret D, but they're movable. So you learn to keep your fingers in that formation, you see. So once again, quick review. A7, A added 7, A6 or A13, 7, A7, add a 9, raise a 9. This is your suspended 4th. So, very, very cool to work on your bar chords. It's going to open up for you to be able to voice chords differently. Instead of playing a G, well, maybe you do a G bar chord. Instead of playing a C and open, you do C on the 8th fret. Instead of playing a D bar chord, you might feel that this voicing sounds nice, a bar chord D, you know? So bar chords are wonderful. You got to learn them, okay? They're really important.